Good evening. Thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 14th day of October 2025. And it's time for us to have a conversation yet again. Elimu Mashinani, the show of the partnership between the Ministry of Education and Citizen TV, going to different counties to talk about the situations affecting the education sector. And tonight, we are at the Tom Mboya Labour College here in Kisumu City to have a conversation with principal secretaries in the Ministry of Education. We'll be introducing Professor Julius Bitok and Dr. Beatrice Nyangala, both of whom are principal secretaries in the ministry. But first, let's establish what's happening in Kisumu, because this is a county that has 819 institutions. The early childhood education, 81% of them are public, and the population in those public institutions is 36,789 learners. These are children who are below the ages of 5. In primary school, you have 831 institutions, 74% of them are public, and the total population in those institutions is 184,000. At the junior school, you're talking about 722 institutions, 85% of them are public institutions, with a population of 126,841 in the county of Kisumu. For secondary institutions or senior schools, you have 248 institutions, 94% of them are public institutions, and at the same time, the population is over 100,000 learners. But it's important to note that 24% of the junior school teachers are intern teachers. This is according to the Ministry of Education. Now, beyond that, the senior schools that are categorized in 4 clusters, cluster 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have 6 schools being in cluster 1. This is previously what was called the national schools. Extra county or cluster 2 is 18 institutions. 18 institutions are county schools or C3, and 191 institutions are sub-county or cluster 4, with the transition that is expected early next year. Now, for the other important factor in Kisumu County, you're talking about the teachers' shortage. There's a 4.8% teacher shortage in the primary institutions, but the biggest of shortages is at the junior school at 69%, which really compares to other counties in the country that you have looked at. You'll find that that's pretty high. For secondary education, 27% teacher shortage, and for special needs education, it's 36% of shortage. We'll be diving deeper into that, but I'm also here with Laura Otieno, who is in the audience. Will be taking some questions. But as we start, Principal Secretary Basic Education and Principal Secretary Beatrice Nyangala at the Higher Education. Let's start with you, Dr. Nyangala, on the question of the current lecturer strike, because it's now nearly 1 month. We've heard from the representatives of the lecturers this afternoon. They were talking about a misunderstanding of figures. I don't know, when you look at it, how do you understand the problem to be, and how soon do we see a solution?
Yes, we do recognize that there's a dispute, because the lecturers and non-teaching staff are claiming 7.9 billion. However, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has advised that what we owe is 624 million. So in view of this, we have been engaging the lecturers and the unions, and we did have discussions to audit the payrolls to confirm actually what the outstanding amount is. Mm-hmm. By yesterday, the unions had acknowledged that the figure is 7.7 billion.
Right.
However, the payrolls are still being audited, and as more information comes in, we should be able to actually establish the figure. And once this is done, we will then agree on how we are going to pay the agreed upon amount, and that should settle the issues. We do, however, acknowledge that this strike is not protected. Mm-hmm. It was interdicted by a court of law. And so we expect our lecturers to be in class teaching the students. And 50% of the universities actually are running their classes. And we are still imploring the lecturers who are still on the streets to go to class, because what they are doing is unlawful. And we are all law-abiding citizens, over and above the fact that we have a moral responsibility to take care of the future generation.
So there are 2 issues you've said there, that 50% of students are in school?
of the universities are teaching.
Which ones?
Embu University, Muranga University, and many others. We had this conversation this afternoon, and we told the press, please go out there and establish those that are teaching. Don't just focus on those that are not teaching.
No, that's what I'm asking, because you've just mentioned 2 universities. The public universities should be more than 30.
Yes.
2 out of 30 cannot be 50%.
It's not only 2 out of 30. Most of the universities in the Mount Kenya region are actually teaching.
So if you say, because the lecturers' unions, their representatives this afternoon spoke and said that they do not want SRC in those meetings because they are confusing the conversation going on. So what do you see as a possible solution to this? Because they are not ready to say that it's not 7 billion shillings.
Validating the payrolls. Data does not lie. And you have told us this many times. Validating the payrolls. The increment year by year for the lecturers over that period. The data is there on the payrolls, and that's what we are validating.
Okay.
Yes.
For you, Professor Bitok, as we start, so there is a conversation around preparations for the examinations season or the national assessment that we now have. I don't know how far we are with school capitation, because some institutions have complained that because of the delayed capitation, they are not able to prepare for examinations, including buying crucial equipment or what they would require for the assessment.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. Just to begin by saying that we have been able to release capitation to most of the schools.
Yep.
We received 23 billion from National Treasury, and so far we have released 21.6, which is about 93%.
93.
And all the examination monies have been released. We got 5.9 billion from the National Treasury, and we have released everything. Mm-hmm. And I want to assure the nation that we have put in place all the measures to prepare for the national examinations that are coming, which are starting next week. We have had national briefings at the NEC headquarters, which happened led by the Cabinet Secretary on the 3rd. After that, we have had county briefings, we have had sub-county briefings, and everything is set for the examination.
Right.
All the resources required have been released by the government. Recently, we got an additional 3 billion from the National Treasury for exam, and they have promised us another additional 3 billion, because the total budget for exam is 12 billion.
12 billion.
And so far, we have released 6 billion, or rather 5.9 to be precise, and we've got an additional 3 billion, and we are in conversation with National Treasury to release the remaining 3 billion. So there's no issue about examination. We are all set, and all systems go. I want to wish the students all the best, even as they prepare and do the final touches. But on matters capitation, there's still a little bit of work to be done there. I want to say that we have been able to release capitation for most of the schools, but there are still a few. You remember the Auditor General issued a report in the special audit that was presented in Parliament that we must verify all our learners and all our schools. And from the beginning of this term, we have been doing that. Yep. We send a questionnaire to all the schools, all the sub-county directors, to submit information, to submit data on the number of learners, the number of schools, and the process has been going on. And I'm happy to inform the country that so far we cleared the secondary schools. We have done 80% of the junior school and primary schools. And I want to confirm that every time we confirm, capitation is sent. That is why now we have 93% of the money.
93%. So do you know how many schools are yet to receive their capitation?
Well, I want to say that all the secondary schools have received their money. So unless they have issues, because when the team discovers that there are issues, they send the data back to the school for resubmission. We give them a format that they need to use to submit the data. But some of the schools and some of the sub-county directors were using wrong formats, making the team in Nairobi inquire again, return back the data for resubmission again. That's what has been delaying. So it's been back and forth, back and forth. But I want to say that the team is finalizing that process. Okay. And we are confident that by the end of this process, we shall have a very comprehensive report on how many students we have in secondary school, how many students we have in primary school, how many students we have in junior school.
Okay.
Just to give you a little bit more detail, the capitation we received for secondary was 10.4 billion.
Yeah.
So far, we've released 10.1 billion. For junior school, we have received capitation of 5.6 billion. So far, we have released 4.8 billion. So we still have about 800 million, which is in process. For primary school, we have received capitation of 1.4 billion. And, sorry, we received 1.4, we've released 0.8. For 5.6, we've received 4.8.
Sorry, say that again.
Making it 21.6.
Sorry, for primary school?
Primary school, we got 1.4 billion.
Yes.
And we have released 0.8 billion. For junior school, the capitation was 5.6 billion. And so far, we have received 4.8 billion. For NEC, we received 5.9. And so far, we have released the entire 5.9.
Okay.
And when you do the mathematics, you see it's 23 billion total, and we have released 21.6 billion.
Okay, so back to primary, because you're saying 0.8 billion shillings is yet to be released. So that looks like, no, what is yet to be released is 0.6, almost 50%. So do you know how many primary schools you're talking about? They're close to 30,000 if not.
We are talking about 22,000 primary schools.
Have received or not received?
That's the total number of
total number is 22,000.
But so far, we are talking about more than 18,000.
18,000 have received.
Primary schools have received their money.
Okay, so what was the essence of this? What have you found out?
Well, we have discovered that there are some inconsistencies in the data that we are receiving and the data that we had previously in the system. And at this point, I don't want to preempt. Let us allow the process to go to the end. Let us allow the process to go to the end so that we don't give wrong impression. Yeah, but of course, clearly, we are going school by school. And it's a very tedious process.
Yes, there is
and it is the right thing to do.
For sure. The reason I'm asking that question is, you have received 10.4 billion shillings for secondary school capitation.
Yes.
You have released 10.1. You went into verification to establish the right numbers or wrong numbers. 10.1 versus 10.4 is almost the same thing. So why?
That's what I'm saying. There is some inconsistencies in the data we had and the data we have now. So we are trying to still analyze and recheck to confirm so that by the time we release a report, we're releasing a very accurate report.
There's a time you had said that you are seeing about 50,000 non-existent students. You call them ghost students.
Well, I don't want to call them ghost students. These ghost students is another issue altogether. I want to say that why don't you allow us time? Maybe by the end of this week, the minister will be able to release a report, official report, official position on all the issues, because it is more than just calling them ghost students. There are more other underlying issues that come out, because we realize that some schools are very small. Like in our report now, we realize that 168 schools fall below the threshold in secondary of 45 students to make a school. So we're still doing the further analysis. There's also an additional 6 schools which have closed down in this process. So we are still doing a lot of further analysis to ensure that we give a concrete position on this matter.
And of course, we'll wait to hear what you're finding out, and also what action should be taken to people that may have headers paying for non-existent students, which you don't want to call them ghost students, though you did not long ago. But let's first hear from Kenyans in Kisumu County, what they have to say about this sector of education in Kisumu County, as we hear what they have to say in regards to their experience, whether it comes to the question of the competency-based education or the question about progress and the transition.
BBC, madarasa, lazima serikali aongeze madarasa. Unapata kama watoto, mwalimu ni mmoja lakini wanafunzi ni wengi katika darasa. Sasa serikali atusaidie wajenge madarasa.
Textbook government sema wanatupatia but si ile ratio ya 1:1. So unapata textbook zinakuja but wanafunzi ni wengi. Wanafunzi wengine wanapata, wengine hawapati.
Sample kama hii pesa registration ya Fee ya exams iko juu, inatumiza sana kama sisi wazazi.
Hii mwaka sijaona walimu primary na wa secondary inawapatia support ile ya kutosha, na isiishie hapo, wazidi kuwa fund more wakuwe na hiyo morali ya kufundisha watoto.
Kama ya STEM ilitusumbua sana wakati wa kuchagua shule juu sasa mtu kama mimi sikuwa naelewa venye tunachagua shule zenye unataka, hiyo haiko kwa selection. Sasa ilikuwa ni changamoto sana, na hiyo ndio iko na unatakana uchague subjects, ilikuwa ni changamoto kubwa.
All right, those are some of the sentiments of the people of Kisumu. We'll be talking about them and, of course, listening to the audience that is here on the questions they have to raise with the officials of the Ministry of Education at a time that we are undergoing a transition into the next level of the competency-based education. You're back in a moment.